Ma Yuwei, an imam at Daying Mosque in Yuxi City, Yunnan Province, has spent years teaching the Quran and sharing religious knowledge with the community. He's well respected by local residents for his dedication. But as the Chinese government continues to crack down on religious freedom, his situation has gotten worse. He's been followed and threatened by unidentified people several times. On the 15th of this month, Ma Yuwei was arrested by the police. Even more shocking, his parents, wife, and kids were taken too. The arrest of such a well-known imam, along with his entire family, led to large protests by Muslim residents outside the city government, demanding their immediate release. A video shows that at noon on the 15th, a restaurant in the city was suddenly surrounded by more than 60 plainclothes police officers, who forcibly took Ma Yuwei away while he was dining. Witnesses reported that restaurant staff and customers asked the police to present legal documents, but the officers only responded, "You must cooperate with the investigation." Arbitrary arrests, detentions, and even torture by the police without legal justification have become common in China, which highlights how the CCP's power overrides the rule of law. Before his arrest, Ma Yuwei had already sensed the danger. For safety reasons, he and his family had been living in the mosque for 6 months without leaving. However, on the 15th, he received a phone call and decided to go out for a meal. Within less than 5 minutes of sitting down at the restaurant, he was seized by waiting police officers. After Ma Yuwei was arrested, a large group of Muslim residents gathered in front of the city government to pray and demand his release. Many also called the mayor's hotline, but there was no result. The city government staff told the protesters that the arrest was about catching a criminal and had nothing to do with religion. They asked everyone to go home. City government staff assured the public that the police were handling those suspected of illegal activities according to the law. They explained that the individual's actions were personal and had nothing to do with the mosque or the imam. They promised to handle the situation fairly and impartially, ensuring no innocent people would be wronged and no wrongdoers would go free. However, ironically, starting at dawn on the 16th, the police mobilized a large number of military and police forces, sealing off the entire protest area. They set up communication jamming vehicles and blocked the highway leading to Yuxi. At the same time, they conducted strict checks on Muslim residents. Because the situation surrounding the event was tightly controlled, many people turned to the Yuxi broadcasting and television station's live streaming platform to ask for updates. However, the station quickly shut down the comment section. This isn't the first time such an event has occurred in Yunnan. On May 27, 2023, the government forcibly demolished the Arabic-style facade of the Najiaying Mosque. Local Muslim residents gathered to stop the demolition, resulting in violent clashes with the police. Some people were injured and others were sprayed with pepper spray. In the end, the protests were violently suppressed by the CCP. The incident occurred on the afternoon of May 26, which was a Friday, a day of prayer for Muslims. After the prayer, locals noticed a large presence of armed police around the Najiaying Mosque. By Friday evening, more plainclothes police and unfamiliar men appeared nearby, watching the area, which caused fear among the residents. On Saturday morning, the community discovered that the mosque's main entrance was blocked, with police holding shields and rubber batons surrounding the mosque and setting up multiple checkpoints, preventing people from passing through. It became clear to the locals that the police were likely planning to demolish the mosque, an action that had been mentioned before and strongly opposed by the community. This time, it seemed the police were ready to use force to carry out the demolition. At the scene, there were not only regular police officers, but also thousands of armed police. The people of Najiaying began to push against every checkpoint. By noon, some people reached the mosque's main gate, throwing bricks. The armed police and officers responded by beating people with rubber batons. Around 2 p.m., the crowd broke through the barricades and rushed into the mosque. At 11 p.m., while I was communicating with the protesters, the internet was suddenly cut off. By 4 a.m., I received information that a large number of heavily armed police began to suppress the crowd, replacing the earlier officers who had used shields and batons during the day. Drones were flying overhead, monitoring the people and broadcasting warnings for them to surrender. The police arrested more than 30 people, and although 4 protesters managed to avoid arrest at the time, with help from the protesting crowd, the police later conducted door-to-door searches and eventually arrested them as well. Since Xi Jinping came to power, the authority to deploy armed police has been entirely under the control of the Central Military Commission. The thousands of armed police involved in suppressing the protests and demolishing the mosque were likely acting on orders directly from Beijing, with the goal of eradicating the local Yuwei Muslim community's Islamic faith. Xi Jinping doesn't care about public opinion. Since 2017, the Beijing government has systematically been demolishing mosques, starting in Nangsha and later expanding to Yunnan. The campaign has been ongoing for years, and now only 2 mosques, Najiaying and Shadian, are left to be demolished. The reason local residents are defending the mosque is to prevent its demolition. During the day, women and children guard the entrance, and at night, it's the young men's turn to protect it. In the 1970s, many brave individuals from Najiaying sacrificed their lives to stop the CCP from demolishing the mosque. Today, many of the protesters are survivors of those dangerous times. They are unwilling to compromise, with many prepared to die to protect the mosque, as it represents the last symbol of dignity for Eastern Muslims. In Weishan County, Yunnan, local Muslims clashed violently with police. The government mobilized over 100 officers using the excuse of illegal construction and religious activities to forcibly demolish 3 mosques. A video shared by the non-governmental organization documenting oppression against Muslims on X showed police with shields charging into the mosque to forcibly remove the people. During the conflict, many were violently dragged away by the police, and an elderly woman even fainted. At least 40 to 50 people were arrested, and several others were hospitalized due to serious injuries. Let's take a look back at the demolition of the mosque in Yuxi City, Gansu Province. On April 11, 2019, a video on X showed a massive crane parked outside the mosque, with the golden dome severely damaged and showing large cracks. Other parts of the building were also noticeably destroyed, with many cement blocks scattered around the site. The tiles that once covered the exterior walls had fallen off, and the walls and decorative beams inside the mosque's main hall were also damaged. In the face of the CCP's violent demolition, the Muslim residents who witnessed it firsthand were heartbroken, sitting on the ground and crying. Everyone, just take a look. We don't even know which official gave the order, but overnight a big crane was used to destroy the mosque's dome. We were all lied to by these officials who said it was just a renovation. But look, is this a renovation? It's the complete destruction of the mosque. The Chinese government's large-scale demolition of mosques across the country is closely tied to the Sinicization campaign implemented after Xi Jinping came to power. The campaign began in 2018, and its main focus has been on demolishing mosques with Islamic architectural styles and replacing them with structures that reflect Chinese characteristics. The campaign isn't just about changing the appearance of buildings, it also involves strict restrictions on religious expression. One of the most representative examples is the Grand Mosque in Shadian, Yunnan Province. It's one of China's largest mosques, capable of holding 10,000 worshippers with a 21,000 square meter complex. The original dome was replaced with a Chinese-style palace tower, and the Islamic decorations were swapped out for a more Sinicized style. After being demolished and rebuilt, the mosque reopened in 2023, now with surveillance cameras inside, and restrictions were placed on minors, including a ban on religious activities like fasting during Ramadan. In a 2019 report, China's state-run media Global Times pointed out that the Chinese government passed a law aimed at Sinicizing Islam within 5 years. The law emphasizes ensuring that Islam integrates with socialism with Chinese characteristics and strongly promotes Chinese-style policies and the de-Arabanization movement. In September 2020, during a government meeting, Xi Jinping stressed the necessity of ensuring the healthy development of religion and further highlighted the need to strengthen ideological work and carry out cultural assimilation projects. In September 2022, former chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, Wang Yang, also stated that Islam must follow the Communist Party and walk with the Communist Party, describing this as the only political stance. Hannah Thurkel, a lecturer in history and politics at the University of Plymouth in the UK, said, "Some mosques in China have been demolished and others merged as part of a policy to reduce the number of mosques. The Chinese government has also closed many religious schools and increased ideological control over religious leaders." Solomon Bai, a Yuwei Muslim scholar in Australia, told Voice of America, "The fall of the Syrian dictatorship had a significant impact on the Chinese communist regime. All dictatorial regimes fear the existence of free will and free thought. When a nation is willing to face death for freedom, equality, and justice, it signals the fall of a dictatorship. Therefore, the CCP has intensified its repression and intimidation of the Muslim community, especially the persecution and capture of scholars, fearing their influence will lead to large-scale popular movements. The most severe persecution of Islam by the CCP occurs in Xinjiang. According to the Washington Post, the number of mosques and shrines destroyed in Xinjiang is estimated to be in the thousands. This persecution has spread across the country in recent years, including in places like Yunnan. These events have sparked widespread criticism from the international community, with human rights organizations calling for greater pressure on China to protect the fundamental rights of religious minorities. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with your friends. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.